this kind of question tantamount to challenging the authority of God, you know. Hmm? The God, you know, Krishna, his pastimes are called Nitya Lila. Nitya Lila means it's always there. Unfortunately, we cannot see because we are not qualified. But for a pure devotee, he can see the Lord pastime anywhere and everywhere. Hmm? That's why Krishna says, for my devotee, he never lost to me and I'm never lost to him. Hmm? Yes? What is this now going out of center? Huh? What is how to do this now? Hmm?
Yeah.
You close and open again.
Yes.
So the Lord, okay. A true yogi observes me in all being and also sees every living being me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the supreme personality of God, is everywhere. So you can see here, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So this is the position of a person who is kind of with God, you know. So when he is with God, then he doesn't miss the presence of the Lord all the time. But a person who is not with God, then for him, the Lord stays hidden. You know, it says here, for those who are not, conscious of Him, then for him, then the Lord is never manifest to him. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and inexhaustible. Hmm? So this is the point, you know. You can argue, it may be argued that can someone read this?
Yeah, Prabhu. It may be argued that since Krishna
Oh,
was invisible,
voice is soft, huh?
now, Prabhu,
Louder a
now,
bit.
now can
Yeah,
hear, I think.
yeah,
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 Prabhu.
yeah. Hmm.
It may be argued that since Krishna was visible to everyone when he was present on this earth, how can it be said that he is not manifest to everyone? But actually, he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present there, when Krishna was present, there were only a few people who could understand him to be the supreme personality of Godhead. In the assembly of Kurus, when Shishupala spoke against Krishna's being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the supreme god. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was a supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non devotees and the common man. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, but for his pure devotees, all men considered him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as the reservoir of all pleasure. But to others, to unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his internal potency. In the prayers of Kunti, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.19, it is said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yogamaya, and thus ordinary people cannot understand him. This Yogamaya curtain is also confirmed in the Ishopanishad Mantra 15, in which the devotee prays, O my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe. and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you will also maintain me. You, uh, your transcendental form is covered by the Yogamaya. The Brahmajyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchitananda Vigraha. Brahma Samhita 5.1. Your eternal form of bliss and knowledge, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental form of bliss and knowledge is covered by the internal potency of the Brahmajyoti. And the less intelligent impersonalist cannot see the Supreme on this account. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.7, there is a prayer by Brahma, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Super Soul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastimes in this world. You are always expanding your internal potency, and therefore no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can examine the atomic constitution of the material world or even the planets, but still they are unable to calculate your energy and potency, although you are present before them. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is only unborn but also avyaya. Is not only unborn but also avyaya, inexhaustible. His eternal form is bliss and knowledge, and his energies are all inexhaustible.
So you can see here, the Lord is not manifest to those people who are foolish. If you want to go to Him and challenge, why don't you come now as you came millions of years ago when Prahlad Maharaj was there, Ram was there. So the Lord is not obligated to just because we challenge Him. Hmm. And if you really want to see Him, then all you have to do is become a devotee. Hmm? That is the criteria. If you become a devotee, yes, then He will be there with you all the time. As He says, I'm never lost to my devotee. Hmm? He says in this prayer, hmm?
The, the pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of my pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anything else but them. Since Durvasa Muni wanted to chastise uh, Maharaj Ambarish, it is to be understood that he wanted to give pain to the heart of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the Lord says, Sadhavo Hrudayam Mahyam. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. The Lord's feelings are like those of a father who feels pain when his child is in pain. Therefore, offenses at the lotus feet of a devotee are serious. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very strongly recommended that one not commit any offense at the lotus feet of a devotee. Such offenses are compared Such offenses are compared to a mad elephant because when a mad elephant enters a garden, it causes devastation. Therefore, one should be extremely careful not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of a pure devotee. Actually, Maharaj Ambarish was not at all at fault. Durvasa Muni unnecessarily wanted to chastise him on flimsy grounds. Maharaj Ambarish wanted to complete the Ekadashi Parana as part of the devotional service to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he drank a little water. But although Durvasa Muni was a great mystic Brahmana, he did not know what is what. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a so-called learned scholar of Vedic knowledge. The devotees, being always situated in the core of the Lord's heart, surely get all instruction directly from the Lord, as confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 10:11. Out of compassion for them, I dwelling in their hearts destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. The devotee does not do anything not sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as it is said, Vaishnavera Kriyamudra Vignehana Bhujaya. You see Madhya 23.9. Even the most learned or experienced person cannot understand the movements of a Vaishnava, a pure devotee. No one, therefore, should criticize a pure Vaishnava. A Vaishnava knows his own business. Whatever he does is precisely right because he is always guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So you see how Krishna is always with the devotee. There's never a time that he is not with the devotees. Huh? So people who are not intelligent, they think that God is not around anymore. So he is missing, God is missing. Huh? Understand? Can he mute himself, his mic?
Yeah.
As the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source and immediately catches the sense of smell, similarly, one who constantly engages in devotional service in Krishna consciousness can catch the Supreme Soul who is equally present everywhere.
That so the for a devotee, he sees the Lord everywhere, you know. And when he sees the Lord, it doesn't mean he just see only the Lord. He sees his form, his name, his pastimes, his paraphernalia. He sees everything. It's not that he only God is alone. God is with his internal potency all the time. So the devotee is always in bliss, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed how in ecstasy he saw Krishna doing so many pastimes. Hmm? Even while present here, although he was 500 years, just 500 years ago from here, and Krishna left seemingly some 4,500 years ago. So it's a question of whether being pure or not pure. And you are a pure devotee, then constantly you will be seeing Krishna. Like here it says, hmm?
As
Can
a
you?
breeze, yeah, Prabhu, as a breeze carrying a pleasant fragrance from a garden of flowers at once captures the organ of smell, so one's consciousness saturated with devotion can at once capture the transcendental existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who in his Paramatma feature is present everywhere, even in the heart of every living being. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Kshetragna, present within this body, but he is also simultaneously present in every other body. Similarly, the individual soul is present only in a particular body. He is altered when another individual soul does not cooperate with him. The super soul, however, is equally present everywhere. Individual souls may disagree, but the super soul being equally present in every body is called unchanging or avikari. The individual soul, when fully saturated with Krishna consciousness, can understand the presence of the super soul. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that Bhaktyamam Abhijanati 1850, Bhagavad Gita 1855, a person saturated with devotional service in full Krishna consciousness can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead either as super soul or as a Supreme Person.
That's why you can see also here in the Bhagavad Gita,
The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater outcast.
so he see with equal vision. I mean, what is he saying? Huh? He's seeing God in the heart of everybody, you know. Hmm? Correct?
A, a Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction between species or castes. The Brahmana and the outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog, a cow, and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species, but these differences of body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme. for the Supreme Lord by his plenary portion as Paramatma is present in everyone's heart. Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. As far as the bodies are concerned in different castes or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind to everyone because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma regardless of the circumstances of the living entities. The Lord as Paramatma is present both in the outcast and in the Brahmana, although the body of a Brahmana and that of outcast are not the same. The bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and the super soul within the body are of same spiritual quality. The similarity in the quality of the soul and the super soul, however, does not make them equal in quantity, for the individual soul is present in that particular body, whereas Paramatma is present in each and every body. And a Krishna conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he is truly learned and has equal vision. The similar characteristics of the soul and super soul are that there are both conscious, eternal and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas super soul is conscious of all bodies. The super soul is present in all bodies without distinction.
So you can see here, so we have to understand that how this all is working. A person who is not a devotee, then all these things become very confusing because they're seeing this material world without the presence or the hand of God inside, so they cannot understand. But for someone who's a devotee, they are always conscious of God everywhere. Hmm? And the Lord is always with the devotee also. Understand? And if the Lord is with the devotee all the time, then what trouble he will have? Hmm? As Krishna himself say, for the devotee I carry what he lacks and preserve what he has. Hmm? So how can all these things only work for some pure devotee and not work for others? So Krishna says, anyone who is my devotee, yeah, then he's obligated to help. Hmm? See?
But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have.
Can you read the purport?
One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord, such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Shema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition of life.
So the Lord is definitely, if someone is with him, then how he can neglect the devotee at any time? Hmm? The Lord is not saying that only certain devotees I will help. There's no such thing. Anyone who surrendered to the Lord, hmm, he is very dear to the Lord at all time, and the Lord will never give him up at any point of time.
Since pure devotees give up their homes, wives, children, relatives, riches, and even their lives simply to serve me, without any desire for material improvement in this life or in the next, how can I give up such devotees at any time?
Hmm? So how the Lord will give up the devotee at any time? Hmm? How? It doesn't make any sense, you know. The Lord is not some fool, you know. He is the most kindest person, you know. Nobody can be more kinder than him. You know.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Purushottama, the greatest of all persons, has a pure mind. He is so gentle that even if his servant is implicated in a great offense, he does not take it very seriously. Indeed, if his servant renders some small service, the Lord accepts it as being very great. Even if an envious person blasphemes the Lord never manifests anger against him. Such are his great qualities.
So, being so much of a transcendental personality, how he can neglect his servants? Even if the servant makes some mistake, also he overlooks that, you know. So the criteria is that to get close to the Lord, we must be a devotee. We must qualify to becoming a devotee. That is the essence. Because you've not been a devotee, then the Lord is not obligated, you know. Hmm? It says here many times, for my devotee, for my devotee. So the idea of trying to understand God is to first become his devotee. Hmm? That is the whole thing. That is also what he says, Krishna told Arjuna, you know, become my devotee, become my friend, become, you know, two times he said this. Hmm? Man mana bhava mat bhakta mat yaji mam namaskaro mame vyasi yukta evam atmana mat parayana. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee. See here again, become my devotee. Offer obeisance to me, worship me, being completely absorbed in me. Surely you will come to me. Hmm? So unless you become a devotee, how the Lord will be interested in trying to do you know his part? Yeah? Again in the 18th chapter, he repeated the same thing. Again, man mana bhava mat bhakta mat yaji mam namaskuro mam evyasi satyam te pratijane prayosimi. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage to me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Say that. Huh? So this thing is we have to understand that we have to first become a devotee of Krishna to to get him to also reciprocate. Hmm. So I said also here, ये यथा माम प्रपद्यांते ताम सते विभजाम्यहम मामवात्मन वर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः. As all surrender unto me, I devote them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respect, O son of Prita. So if you want to go to God, then you must become his devotee. Then you must become his devotee, And you try to challenge him, that doesn't work. The Lord is not a fool that because someone is crying, so he has to obligate. It's not necessary for him to do all this. We need him more than he needs us. Try to understand this point. And you cannot see God by challenging mood. That's not possible. Hmm. That's not possible at all. Unless you submit, if we submit and surrender, then yes. And then he will lead us in a way, such a way that we can learn how to go and approach him. Have to go to a spiritual master, learn from him, surrender and submissively serve him first. Then the Lord want to see how you surrender and serve his servant. Hmm. You cannot go to God directly. That's not possible. You have to go through only his servant. Ah, if someone thinks that he can go to God directly, then he is living in a myth. Because the Lord will never accept anybody coming to him directly. One can become a devotee only by surrendering. Unless one is favored by a pure devotee, one cannot attain the platform of devotional service. To say nothing of Krishna Bhakti, one cannot even be relieved from bondage of material existence. You want to read this?
Yeah,
Pious
I
act.
can read.
Yeah, okay. Good, bro.
Pious activities bring about material opulence, but one cannot acquire devotional service by any amount of material pious activity, not by giving charity, opening big hospitals and schools, or working philanthropically. Devotional service can be attained only by the mercy of a pure devotee. Without a pure devotee's mercy, one cannot even escape the bondage of material existence. The word Mahat in this verse means a pure devotee, as Lord Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita 9:13. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. One has to associate with such a Mahatma who has accepted Krishna as the supreme source of the entire creation. Without being a Mahatma, one cannot understand Krishna's absolute position. A Mahatma is rare and transcendental, and he is a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. Foolish people consider Krishna a human being, and they consider Lord Krishna's pure devotee an ordinary human being also. Whatever one may be, one must take shelter at the lotus feet of a devotee, Mahatma, and treat him as the most exalted well-wisher of all human society. He should take shelter of such a Mahatma and ask for his causeless mercy. Only by his benediction one can be relieved from attachment to the materialistic way of life. When one is just relieved, he can engage in the Lord's transcendental loving service through the mercy of the Mahatma.
That's why it says here, next verse, it says, unless we take the dust of a pure devotee, there's no possibility of understanding about Krishna. Read, please.
O King Rahugana, without taking upon one's head the dust from the lotus feet of a pure devotee, a Mahajana or Mahatma, one cannot attain devotional service. Devotional service is not possible to attain simply by undergoing severe austerities and penances, by gorgeously worshipping the deity, or by strictly following the rules and regulations of the sannyasa or grihastha order. Nor is it attained by studying the Vedas, submerging oneself in water, or exposing oneself to fire or scorching sunlight.
So I say devotional service is not obtained by any other means other than taking shelter of a pure devotee of Krishna. So if you want to know in Krishna in full, then the only way is to go to a pure devotee and submit to him. Then, yes, his example is also given how Narada Muni is saying. He took the remnants of the pure devotees. Once only by their permission he had the remnants, and immediately his heart became exactly like that. This is personal realization.
6.
1:6 is it? Uchista
Yeah.
Lepa. I think it's one. Give me a minute, huh?
1:5:25.
All right, good. Thank you. You can see here, he first took shelter of the pure devotees. Can read?
Once only by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing, all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus, being engaged, I became purified in heart. And at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me.
See that? He did not, he was actually the son of maid servant. I don't think he went to school also, no? Correct? And how not even going to school, just by serving the pure devotees? He said, by taking the remnants, right? You can see in the next verse, it says,
O Vyasadeva, in that association, and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna. And thus, as I listened attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of God had increased at every step. O great sage, as soon as I got a taste for the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings. For both the Lord and I are transcendental.
see this, he explains his realization. He took the remnants, by taking the remnants, his heart became purified. Hmm? See, he took the remnants. By doing so, all my sins became eradicated, and thus, being engaged, I became purified in my heart. And that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attracted to me. So, in order to become a devotee, you need the help of another devotee. Then, yes, you can see God, you can talk to Him, you can so many things. But if you do not do this, then there's no way you will be in ignorance. You think, where is God? Why is not coming now? Why is he not solving problem? You get all this kind of very confusing questions. Correct? But if you know God, then you are not confused. Just like Arjuna says, I have understood everything clearly. My illusion is gone. That is the conclusion. Conclusion is one must come to this stage. If he's with God only, he can come to this stage. Hmm? Before this, the Lord asked him, are you clear? Everything is clear for you or not? Hmm? O son of Prita, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusion gone? Are your ignorance and delusion now dispelled? So this is the conclusion. If you hear from God properly or his representative, then you must become free from illusion and doubt. This is what Arjuna then says. I am free. Oh, I am my Arjuna says, my dear Krishna, I am infallible. Oh, infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy and am now free from doubt. Now I am firm and free from doubt and I am prepared to act according to your instruction. This is another important point. I am prepared to act according to your instruction. So you don't become independent. You understand? Doesn't mean that you understand God means, okay, now I understood, now I can do what I like. No. Yeah, the more you become purified of this contamination, of this Maya, then you want to become the servant of God. These are all very meaningful. These all these lines that Arjuna is saying, my illusion is gone. How it is go? My memory, then illusion go, memory comes back. The memory comes back, then you realize it's only by the mercy of the Lord. So we act in a subordinate manner, and then we become firm, and we have no more doubts. And then I only want to be doing things according to your instruction. That's it. Ah, not challenging, not questioning, full of doubt. I don't know. I think I'm the boss. Who's this God? He should come and serve. Why is not coming? Huh? So in this kind of a challenging mood comes when we are not surrendered, we are not submissive, we are in Maya, in short. But when we are free from Maya, then we always come back to our constitutional position as servant of God, Krishna. So there's a big difference in thinking. Even by a person thinking or talking, it relates where he is at spiritually. Understand? There's a big difference with a madman talking and a man who is sane, A madman will talk all kind of rubbish. Hmm. So we have to understand these points. And yes, we become servant of Krishna. And why? Krishna will always be with us. He says, Krishna says, I never lost, and he is also not lost to me. Because the pure devotees see nothing but only Krishna everywhere. Huh? Like us, we cannot see nothing. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, to help us see, he teaches us, okay, you see the sun and you understand by seeing the sun how powerful it is, and you understand that the sun is but my eyes. Hmm? This is how Krishna is teaching you how to see God. When you drink water, rasopyaps, kauntaya, then you understand I'm the taste in the water. Everybody must drink water. When you drink water, you got some taste. And Krishna says, I am the taste. So in this way, by trying to do all this material thing and putting God inside, then we will come to understand the power of God. So we have to learn how to see God through material things. Hmm. We are eating the grains. Who produce the grains? Only God can produce these grains. Correct? So in this way, we become conscious of His presence. This is how Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, no, Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, he says, no, this opulence. Arjuna, show me how, your opulence. Huh? And Krishna says, everything is springing from a spark of my splendor. So it's only a spark of mine. Yes? Yes or not?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So a person who's intelligent, so Krishna is saying here, you can see, we can read all these things if we want. So we can get some idea about his greatness. Only a fool, will not understand all these things. A fool cannot be educated anyway. You want to read someone?
I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings.
Yeah, see here what he's saying.
Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon.
See how he's saying? So many stars, but the moon is shining. Then I am that moon. Hmm? So he's giving some idea, how his greatness is.
Of the Vedas, I am the Soma Veda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness.
Hmm? See? Among the senses, the chief is the mind. And I am that. Among demigods, Indra is the king of heaven. So Krishna says, I am that. Huh? So trying to give the idea about how great he is. Huh? So a person who is not knowing, they should see this, read all this thing, understand who is Krishna. Hmm? Yes?
Yes.
So this is how, Krishna is trying to tell us his, and someone who don't believe, then he says, I come as sure as death. Huh? Everybody has to believe that, no? Correct? How much you want to challenge, but when death comes, they will probably pass stool and urine in their pants, Yeah? Correct?
I'm all devouring death,
Yes.
and I am the generating principle, all that is to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience.
So among all devouring thing, I'm death. Huh? Yes. So this is how we can see his power, his opulence, his greatness. Hmm? And Krishna says, what is the need to know all this, Arjuna? They spring us with a single fragment of my soul. I prevent and support this entire universe. It's nothing for him. It's some small spark, Ah, so this is how he's so great. He's very, very great, God. Because they don't know. They don't know. That's the whole problem. There's no knowledge. And they are so confused. They're very confused about their home cell anyway. Huh? What to speak about knowing God? Huh? Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor, small spark of his splendor. So without knowing all this knowledge, and then you want to ask questions like why God is not coming now and doing some pastimes, as though he's some cheapskate personality because he calls you, you must come, is it? Huh? Correct? Yeah, think carefully. God is not some our order carrier. So we have to know his greatness and we have to submit it to his authority. And if you become his devotee, you see him constantly. Everything about him you will see. There's a process. That's why Lord Brahma also sings, what is that verse? Premanjana Churita.
538, 538.
Hmm. So here you see what he's saying. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. See? Right? Can read?
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, with Shyam Sundar Krishna himself, with inconceivable innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotional tinge, with the salve of love.
So you see, they see in their hearts of heart with their eye of devotion. So devotees never miss the Lord. And the Lord never meets the devotee. There's no separation from the Lord and the devotee. You understand? So in order to come to this position, there is some, position of trying to practice, If you don't practice this thing, then how you can immediately come to this stage of seeing? It's not possible. Huh?
By chanting the holy name of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord, one comes to the stage of love of Godhead. Then the devotee is fixed in his vow as an eternal servant of the Lord, and he gradually becomes very attached to a particular name and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As his heart melts with ecstatic love, he laughs very loudly, or cries or shouts. Sometimes he sings and dances like a madman, for he is indifferent to public opinion.
This is the position of him seeing.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes. So you have to know, this is all not some joke, Huh? So unfortunately, people don't know the process. But they don't know the process. They think God is some. Huh? Unfortunate. This is all because there's no proper guidance. Then every becomes completely,
Devotee should not see anything as being separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Ether, air, fire, water, earth, the sun, and other luminaries, all living beings, the directions, trees, and other plants, the rivers and oceans, whatever devotee experiences, he should consider to be an expansion of Krishna. Thus, seeing everything that exists within creation of the body of Supreme Lord, Hari, The devotee should offer his sincere respects to the entire expansion of the Lord's body.
This? Huh? Yes. So the devotee, who sees like this, then he is never lost. And the Lord is also always, he is making things more and more fresh for the devotee by showing everything. Then see, the devotee gets the next verse, is always in touch of the Lord. And in that sense, he is always experiencing devotion, is experiencing, he is getting real bhakti, parasa, anubhava, virakti, anyatra chais trika ek kalaha, pratya, prapadyam manasya yatasnatah syus, tusti pusti chut apayo nugasa, nugasam. Huh? Can read this?
Devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating.
So you tell me, God consciousness not a cheap program. God is not some cheap personality. That is what we are trying to do. Because we have no knowledge. Think God is some ordinary person, who will dance according to my tunes, Huh? Correct? You don't know how great he is, Hmm. Just like, is it so easy to go and see your prime minister of the country? Anybody can just walk into his office? Tell me. Although he's such an ordinary man, how much more greater is God? Hmm? Hmm? Yogis and all, they try to work so hard to see him. They cannot even see him. Big endeavor to try to catch him, impossible. But for the devotee, hmm, she is easily, Yashoda is easily catching and tying him up. Yeah, because it's available only for the devotees. It's not available for all these non-devotees, no? Hmm? Understand? Fortunately, these things are all not known. And because it's not known, so people are, taking God for a ride, God becomes some,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous love service, but he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self.
so here the Lord is not available to those mental speculators. So the yogis are those people who are the karmis enjoying their body. Is only available to the pure devotees. Hmm? That also in loving service. Hmm. So the whole thing is to try to become a devotee. That's the whole thing. If we become a devotee, then yes, everything is known. They can see the Lord as He is, standing before them. Hmm?
My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding.
Hmm? Yes, read the purport.
Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explains this in this verse so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in a 400 form and at once changed himself into a 200 form. These things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him to or enter into the understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. For example, to undergo serious penances, one may observe fasting on Janmashtami, the day on which Krishna appeared, and on the 2 days of Ekadashi, the 11th day after the new moon, and the 11th day after the full moon. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. So if one gives some amount of his money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness, that charity given to spread Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in this world. And if one worships as prescribed in the temple, in the temples in India, there is always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna. That is a chance to progress by offering worship and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the beginners in the devotional service to the Lord, temple worship is essential, and that is contained in the Vedic literature Svetasvara, Upanishad 6.23. Yasya deve prakir bhakti, yatha deva tatha guru, tasye te अथेदा hi artha prakashante mahatmana. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master in whom he has similar unflinching faith can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word tu is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. The personal forms of Krishna, the 200 form and the 400, are described as Sudurdarsam, very difficult to see. They are completely different from the temporary universal form shown to Arjuna. The 400 form of Narayana and the 200 form of Krishna are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The word Tvad Anyena Ta Na Drishta Purvam state that before Arjuna, no one had seen that universal form. Also, they suggest that amongst the devotees, there was no necessity of showing it. That form was exhibited by Krishna at the request of Arjuna, so that in future, when one represents himself as an incarnation of God, people can ask to see his universal form. The word na, used repeatedly in the previous verse, indicates that one should not be very much proud of such credentials as an academic education in Vedic literature. One must take to devotional service of Krishna. Only then one can attempt to write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. Krishna changes from the universal form to the four-handed form of Narayana and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the four-handed forms and other forms mentioned in Vedic literature are all emanations of the original 200 forms, 200 Krishna. He is the origin of all emanations. Krishna is distinct even from these forms. What to speak of impersonal conception? As far as the 400 forms of Krishna are concerned, it is stated clearly that even most identical 400 form of Krishna, which is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the cosmic ocean and from whose breathing so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, is also an expansion of the Supreme Lord. As stated in Brahma Samhita, the Mahavishnu into whom all the innumerable universes enter and from whom they come forth again simply by his breathing process is a plenary expansion of Krishna. Therefore, I worship Govinda, Krishna, the cause of all causes. Therefore, one should conclusively worship the personal form of Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, who has eternal bliss and knowledge. He is the source of all forms of Vishnu. He is source of all forms of incarnation, and he is the original supreme personality, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. I affirm respectful obeisances into Krishna, who has transcendental form of bliss, eternity, and knowledge. I affirm respect to him, because understanding him means understanding the Vedas, and is therefore the supreme spiritual master. Then it is said, Krishna vai paramam daivatam. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Eko vasi sarvaga Krishna idiha eko pi san bahudha yo bhavati. That one Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and is worshipable. Although he is one, he is manifested in unlimited forms and expanded incarnations. Upalatapni Upanishad 1.2. The supreme personality of Godhead is Krishna, who has Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Radhe Radhe Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. The supreme personality of Godhead is Krishna, who has a body of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. He has no beginning, for he is the beginning of everything. He is the cause of all causes. In the Vishnu Purana 4.11.4, it is said, Yatra Vatirnan Krishnakhyam Param Brahma Narakritri. The supreme absolute truth is a person. His name is Krishna, and he sometimes descends on this earth. Similarly, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a description of all kinds of incarnations of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this list, the name of Krishna also appears. But then it is said that this Krishna is not an incarnation of God, but it is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Ete chamsa kala pumsa Krishna tu Bhagavan Swara. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Mata parataram nanyat. There is nothing superior to my form as the personality of Godhead Krishna. He also says everywhere in Bhagavad Gita, Aham adhihi devanam. I am the origin of all the demigods. And after understanding Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna also confirms this in the following words. Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavam. I now fully understand that you are the supreme personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, and that you are the refuge of everything. Therefore, the universal form which Krishna showed to Arjuna is not the original form. Of God. The original is the Krishna form. The universal form, with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands, is manifest just to draw the attention of those who have no love for God. It is not God's original form. The universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in his original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship, this form of universal manifestation was not pleasing, rather, it was fearful. Arjuna was a constant companion of Krishna's, must have had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities, but to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the 200 form of Krishna is the most dear.
So you can see here from this verse and the purport that how Krishna, there is no, what we say, comparison. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and only by devotion you can go to Him. This is the way. Only by undivided devotional service you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. So if anyone wants to know about Krishna or wants to understand about his pastimes or wants to understand anything about him, then they must definitely surrender to his pure devotees and learn the process. Yes, but not by speculation. That's not possible. Huh? Ataha Krishna Namadi, what is that?
17136.
17.
136.
So this is the process. Huh? No one can someone want to read this? Anyone else there?
No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, qualities, and pastime of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord or the transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him.
So this is the process. If you want to understand all these things, then you must surrender to Him. The Lord is inconceivable, He's not somebody that you can just figure out. That's not possible, huh? Read on.
O King, no one can know the plan of the Lord, Sri Krishna, even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively. They are bewildered.
So they are bewildered, Can you read on?
The bewilderment of Maharaja Yudhishthira over his past sinful acts and the resultant sufferings, etc., is completely negated by the great authority Bhishma, one of the 12 authorized persons. Bhishma wanted to impress upon Maharaja Yudhishthira that since time immemorial, no one, including such demigods as Shiva and Brahma, could ascertain the real plan of the Lord. And so what can we understand about it? It is useless also to inquire about it. Even the exhaustive philosophical inquiries of sages cannot ascertain the plan of the Lord. The best policy is simply to abide by the orders of the Lord without argument. The sufferings of the Pandavas were never due to their past deeds. The Lord had to execute the plan of establishing the kingdom of virtue, and therefore his own devotees suffered temporarily in order to establish the conquest of virtue. Bhishma Deva was certainly satisfied by seeing the triumph of virtue, and he was glad to see King Yudhishthira on the throne. although he himself fought against him. Even a great fighter like Bhishma could not win the battle of Kurukshetra because the Lord wanted to show that vice cannot conquer virtue, regardless of who tries to execute it. Bhishma Deva was a great devotee of the Lord, but he chose to fight against the Pandavas by the will of the Lord because the Lord wanted to show that, that a fighter like Bhishma cannot win on the wrong side. O best among the descendants of Bharata, I maintain therefore that all this is within the plan of the Lord. Accepting the inconceivable plan of the Lord, you must follow it. You are now the appointed administrative head, and my Lord, you should take care of those subjects who are now rendered helpless.
So try to understand the position and plan of Krishna. So when we work submissively to his desire, then yes, it's very nice and everything becomes easily understood. But when we try to question him and challenge him, then he covers himself up. He's not obligated to reveal himself to the non-devotees. That's the position. All right, does it answer the question about the subject? Hmm?
Yes, Prabhu.
So what